Good evening, Americans. This is your favorite alien. Today, Thursday, July 15th, 2021, here on the Springs of Park Hill in Orange City, Florida. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this evening. Stand by for the rest of the story. Well, the rest of the story today is the Cola Wars. And this is between Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. So, to give you a short thing of what happened here, although you know that Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta, Georgia, it was founded in 1886 by a chemist whose last name was Penbarton or something like that, Penbarton. And he created it in 1886 as a elixir. And his bookkeeper, Frank Robinson, not the baseball player, but his name was Frank Robinson, developed the trademark that you see today as Coca-Cola.
I'm getting the temperature.
Mm-hmm. And the name Coca-Cola was a derivative because they used cocaine. That's the coca in it. And they also used the cola nut, which gave it a lot of caffeine. So that's why it became Coca-Cola. Cocaine was used in Coke, in the original Coke syrup. And boy, it must have been fun when people had that syrup and drank some Coca-Cola in between 1886 and 1903, huh? Oh boy. Yippee! Yeah. So that's why you got Coca-Cola. So in 1903, Coca-Cola was, cocaine was banned, so Coca-Cola had to change its little thing there and change the cola nut because it was a little dangerous. The caffeine. And today, caffeine is still a problem on Coca-Cola. It's got a bad reputation with environmentalists and a lot of people who drink Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola is being sued all over the place now because of all its anti-this and anti-that. But, well, it's still number one in the United States and one of the biggest companies in the world. Soft drink wise. And through the early 1900s, it kept on going. Mr. Candler bought it in 1892, but he had to sell it in 1919 because there was an ugly incident in Atlanta or Marietta, Georgia. Those of you who are in Marietta, Georgia know about the Big Chicken. I used to live there, so I know the Big Chicken. Yeah. Everything goes by the Big Chicken. Well, in 1915, there was an ugly incident about this one girl whose last name was Fagan, who was murdered, 13 years old at the time, and they picked on this poor guy named Frank. He was a strange guy, but he wasn't the cause of it. Up to this day, nobody knows who the cause of it. They consider that Mr. Candler and Mr. Sessions were. But anyway, Mr. Franks was taken by the governor to Milledgeville, which at the time was the capital of Georgia, not Atlanta. And they went all the way from Marietta to Milledgeville and brought him back and hung him in what's present day Big Chicken, KFC. That kind of tainted Mr. Candler, and by 1919, he had to sell Coca-Cola to a group by Mr. Ernest Woodruff. His earnest son, I think his name was Andrew Woodruff, acquired the company in 1923 and ran it till 1955. Under his leadership, Coca-Cola became Coca-Cola, what you see today. And during the 1920s, he went all out because Coca-Cola up until that time was only sold in soda shops and was made by soda jerks. So if you went to a soda shop, a soda jerk had to make your Coca-Cola, and sometimes it was good, sometimes it was bad, because human error in there, right? And Mr. Woodruff, the younger, who took over in 1923, was, hey, we got to do something about this. And remember that in 1920, the prohibition, so beer wasn't made. There was a lot of beer bottles still left. And he decided, hey, we can take this out of the soda jerks and put it in bottles. Well, he tried that in 1921 and failed miserably because people got sick. The people that were bottling the things for him didn't wash the bottles. Can you imagine dirty bottles with Coca-Cola in them? Yeah, whoa, boy, that didn't work out right. So he had to stop that, and he put it on the shelf, but he didn't forget about it. Okay. 1925 came around, and he started to say, hey, we got 2,000 soda fountains that we sell Coca-Cola to, and we got 5,000 to 6,000 gas stations. Hey, we can, bottle Coca-Cola. Let's try that. And this guys were saying, hey, Mr. Woodruff, but you tried that back in 21, and it didn't work. He says, yeah, but that's because I didn't control the bottlers. So he picked the bottle, shaped the bottle the way Coca-Cola is today, and sold it in 6-ounce bottles. He also made a deal with the bottlers. It became the Coca-Cola bottlers. So he controlled everything of the aspects, how to do the bottles, sanitize the bottles and make sure they're clean. And Coca-Cola took off in the bottles. But remember, back in 1925, this is pre-refrigeration days. How are we going to do this? Put it in gas stations. Yeah, but how are you going to keep it cold? Well, they developed this box. Ice box. Your parents probably say, go to the ice box and get a Coke. It was literally the ice box where the Coke was kept. And that's how he sold them to the different people. You went to the gas station, you want gas? Okay, you want a Coke for the road? Here you go. 6-ounce Coke for a nickel. So he did this in 25, and boom, Coca-Cola started booming. And about this time, 25 to 29, Pepsi-Cola was having troubles because it was doing good pre-World War I, and Pepsi was founded in New York by a chemist who called it an elixir of everything and branded as Brad's drink. His name was Brad Benton or something like that, I believe. If I'm wrong, you guys check me. But anyway, in 1898, he changed the name to Pepsi-Cola. Okay, so Pepsi-Cola was doing good. It was in the East doing good, not quite a threat to Coca-Cola up until the World War I. And then after that, it had troubles because of the sugar shortage due to the rationing during World War I. And by 1919, he had to sell it. So Pepsi-Cola was sold to different people between 1919 and 31. And in 31, this guy named Guff, who controlled the loft companies, was having trouble with Coca-Cola because his soda jerks, he wanted to control more of the income coming in from the soda jerks and from cola, and Coca-Cola told him to go stick it. So he bought Pepsi-Cola and sold it as Coca-Cola in his 22 loft companies soda fountain. Well, Mr. Woodruff down in Atlanta found out about this, And Mr. Guff found out that they were doing that too, so he outwitted Mr. Woodruff by sending him a little letter saying, we're going to cease and desist from this. Or Mr. Woodruff, he in his tenure with Coca-Cola, he wanted to bury every other cola. And he was doing a good job of burying the colas. But he couldn't bury Pepsi because he had already rescinded and he put down that, I made a mistake, or my company made a mistake here. They were selling it without me knowing it, so now I'm correcting it. Yeah. So he couldn't sue. So he went to the bottling and put it in the gas stations, and Coca-Cola was really giving Pepsi a hard time. It's such a hard time that Mr. Guff from the loft companies went to Mr. Woodruff and offered to sell Pepsi Cola, this was 1933, for $50,000. Now, mind you got your opposition right at your knees here. Mr. Woodruff had a chance to kill Pepsi Cola forever. Did he do it? No, he was stubborn. I don't want your lousy Pepsi Cola, he told him. So get lost. And Mr. Guff went over there and he decided, how am I going to do this? Oh, wait a second. Let's bottle it like Coca-Cola is doing, but instead of 6 ounces, let's bottle it in 12-ounce bottles and charge a nickel. And he did that, and people started buying Pepsi like crazy. 2 to 1. I mean, you get 12 ounces for a nickel versus 6 ounces of Coca-Cola. Yeah. And, in the Northeast, they said, okay, we'll take it. And Coca-Cola started rolling. Well, the people of Loft noticed that Pepsi Cola was getting big. So they decided to check what's going on here. And they found out that most of the money from Loft was being used for Pepsi Cola. And Pepsi Cola Company was under Mr. Goff's name and not Loft. So they sued him in 1935 and threw him out in 1939. So Loft companies became Pepsi Cola in 1939. And they promptly took over Pepsi Cola, and the Loft company was subsequently adjunted from Pepsi Cola. So nobody knows about the Loft company after 1939 because, the soda companies and the soda shops went whoop, out of business for the most part. There were some malt shops in the 50s, if you guys remember that. But they controlled Pepsi Cola, and then Pepsi Cola became a second upstart to Coca-Cola. And from 1939 to the 60s, they were at each other's throats. And it was Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola. Now, in 1965, Pepsi Cola scored a big over Coca-Cola because they bought out Frito-Lay and became PepsiCo instead of Pepsi Cola. Coca-Cola, on the other hand, was buying all the other drinks. I mean, Fanta, Schweppes, and you name them, Coca-Cola had them. Dasani water, all kinds of stuff that Coca-Cola owned. Pepsi Cola didn't go in that route. They went the other route where, they were buying out Frito-Lay, and most of the Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut were under PepsiCo. So PepsiCo was getting, out of its ordinary business of Coca-Cola stayed in the ordinary business. I mean, they had Fanta and all the other things. And then Pepsi-Cola bought out Mountain Dew. Bad mistake, huh? Yeah. But to this day, Pepsi-Cola decided to get back into its own business. And it sold off the restaurants, the Taco Bells, the KFCs, and the Pizza Hut, to a company that did form called Young Brands. It still owns stake in Young Brands, but it's not technically 50 over 50% of it. But Pepsi-Cola still has its hand in it. Now, both Pepsi and Coca-Cola today are being blasted by environmentalists for messing up the environment, especially Pepsi-Cola with its plastics and throwing them into the Pacific Ocean. And Coca-Cola for being indiscriminate with its union workers and employees and all kinds of stuff. But the rest of the story, people, and Mr. Paul Harvey would have acknowledged this, is that in 1935 or 33, Coca-Cola had Pepsi. Could have had it for $50,000, and Mr. Woodruff told him to go stick it. And now, you know the rest of the story. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this evening, this is your favorite alien. Good day.